Hello everybody and welcome back to the F1 2021 My Team Career Mode with me, Dan, and we're moving on to round 2 today, which is Imola, very similar to the co-op career mode before it. We're following the same kind of calendar, if you like, to how we did before, getting rid of some of the more irritating tracks and putting in something a bit more enjoyable for myself to drive around the circuit. Anyway, we had a good start to the season last time out in Bahrain, picking up points in our debut race. Guan Yu Zhou also doing quite well, although he is struggling with the car at the moment. Anyway, don't forget to like this video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell so you know when the next race has been uploaded. And in a moment, we'll get on to the starting grid order for our second time out in Imola with the Radiant Racing team. And here we go, onto the starting grid for the first of the Italian races. It's Lewis Hamilton on pole position alongside his 2021 rival Max Verstappen. They're followed by their teammates Sergio Perez and Valtteri Bottas. Behind them, once again, Lando Norris in the McLaren and Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari start behind the Big Four. Then we've got Daniel Ricciardo, this time lining up alongside Radiant Racing's Radiant Slothz. And running at the top 10, we have Pierre Gasly for AlphaTauri and Sebastian Vettel once again for Aston Martin. Then Esteban Ocon and Yuki Tsunoda line up in 11th and 12th. Lance Stroll is alongside Kimi Raikkonen in 13th and 14th. Behind them, the other Alfa Romeo with Antonio Giovinazzi. He's alongside George Russell in the first of the Williams. Then we have Guan Yu Zhou, the other Radiant Racing driver. He's alongside Mick Schumacher. And then into the bottom 4, we have Nicholas Latifi. He's alongside Nikita Mazepin. And with no times in qualifying, it's Fernando Alonso and Charles Leclerc. Let's get on with this race. And here we are on the starting grid. It's about to be 5 red lights. And away we go for the second time in this 2021 career mode. It's a good start for Radiant Slothz. He gets past Daniel Ricciardo and Carlos Sainz before even reaching turn 1. That is a good start for the Radiant Racing driver. Sainz challenges him around the outside there. They're still battling. There may have been contact there. Where are they? There's Radiant Slothz. No Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz tumbles down the order. There was contact between the two of them. It was quite tight going into that turn 1 and the chaos of the first lap, claiming a victim. Guan Yu Zhou for the other Radiant Racing driver down in 17th at the moment, so he's moved up a few places, probably because of Carlos Sainz. Let's go on board with his start. Radiant Slothz absolutely smokes Ricciardo off the line. Carlos Sainz defends the inside, and Radiant Slothz is easily past him. And then as the Ferrari gets up to speed, Sainz tries to hook one around the outside, and somewhere in there touched the car and spun out. Let's go on board and see what happened exactly. Bogged down quite a lot as the lights went out. There is Radiant Slothz, still with no sponsors on the car. That's coming as Carlos Sainz tries to take a bit too much curb on the inside of the second part of that chicane. Just basically got crowded out by Radiant Slothz. As we ride back on board a few laps later, as he comes into this fairly tricky section. Massive touch of oversteer there as he comes up the hill. Daniel Ricciardo is going to have a look, try and reclaim position. And he's drawn alongside Radiant Slothz, but Radiant Slothz is able to fight back at the exit of the chicane. Very good from him. And Daniel Ricciardo is going to need to wake up a little bit earlier than that to try and get past Radiant Slothz. He is, of course, defending for his second points in Formula 1, and in an uncompetitive car will be trying to make it as wide as possible. Unfortunately, McLaren gets DRS for the first time, as does Pierre Gasly behind, and Ricciardo draws alongside. Radiant Slothz hooks it down the inside, is somehow able to keep it on the track. There's still no contact between the two of them, and they get round turn 1 and 2. Radiant Slothz somehow managing to keep the car ahead of Ricciardo there, despite being under massive pressure in a car which is much more competitive. Aero development for the Radiant Racing team has been coming along quite nicely, but is not progressing too fast for the fledgling team. Let's go on board with that move. down the inside to defend 6th position. Touch of oversteer there actually helped get round the corner very easily, and Daniel Ricciardo assumes Radiant Slothz isn't going to give him any room. Let's go on board with him. Massive overspeed there. Radiant Slothz does not defend initially. Daniel Ricciardo cuts the corner, and somehow both of them stay out of the wall for now. But could it be for long? They've already dropped back quite significantly from Lando Norris, a nearly 5-second gap now because of the battling. Radiant Slothz goes onto the gravel, trying to get as wide a line as possible through the final quarter, get the best traction he can down this straight. We've already seen that the Mercedes power unit is much stronger than the Honda one in the back of this Radiant racing car. Might just be down to the aero, but Ricciardo gets through. Radiant Slothz not able to defend on the outside, goes wide again. Tyres starting to wear out, and of course, slight touches of understeer mixed in with oversteer, making that car extremely difficult to control. He's got his work cut out ahead of him today if he's to try and keep in the points with everyone that's currently lined up behind him. Let's go on board with Ricciardo. Massive overspeed again. Radiant Slothz defends to the outside, and Ricciardo has to do a switcheroo, and then gives Radiant Slothz absolutely no space whatsoever in the second part of the chicane. But now, of course, we're going to see what can the Honda power unit do against the McLaren. Lewis Hamilton into the pits as well, the first of the leaders to come in. We've got a battle up ahead between Norris and Perez, as Radiant Slothz is cut up by Daniel Ricciardo, has to take evasive action. That's going to bring Pierre Gasly up into the fold now. He's very close behind. It could go either way. We'll see if the AlphaTauri is strong enough here. No, the Honda power unit there, giving Radiant Slothz just enough of an edge. According to some speculation, they currently have leading development on that power unit across the whole field. They just can't go around corners very fast. As Ricciardo drifts across right in front of Radiant Slothz and squeezes him out. Radiant Slothz taking a dramatic line there. Let's go on board with Ricciardo. Just watch his wheel for a moment. There it is. Weaving around all over the place in the braking zone. Unacceptable from Daniel Ricciardo. Disgusting driving. Radiant Slothz will get another opportunity now on the turn of lap 8. DRS is open. Pierre Gasly comes in. Lando Norris also in. Just 3 of the leaders left to come in now. Radiant Slothz are already alongside the McLaren of Daniel Ricciardo as they come down to turn 1. They're alongside... Oh no, Ricciardo! He's hit Radiant Slothz! He's definitely spun round and gotten stuck somewhere as he goes plummeting down the order. Let's go on board with Radiant Slothz. Look at the overspeed. Not quite the same as the Mercedes. There's too much drag on this Radiant racing car, but it doesn't give him a lot of room. We'll go on board with Ricciardo now. Just see from his perspective what it's like to be overtaken by a Radiant racing car. There he is, drawing alongside. It is, of course, perhaps debatable why Daniel Ricciardo took such a tight entry line there. Has brought out the safety car, though. Radiant Slothz surely will come into the pit lane, as will the rest of the field, as we've seen everybody coming in beforehand. It would make sense that they'd be in. Bottas is definitely in. Perez is yep, there's Perez. So they've all come in. Everyone else is following in behind. Looking into the background, Zhou Guangyu's in. That's going to be a double stack for Radiant Racing. There's a double stack for Alfa Romeo. It has actually cost Antonio Giovinazzi there. He has to wait behind Kimi Raikkonen. And through comes Lando Norris. He's going to get out ahead of Radiant Slothz. But Radiant Slothz up in the 5th is likely to stay there as we come to the restart. He has got Lewis Hamilton behind him with 7 laps to go. That may be a bit tricky to handle. We'll just have to see. Goes alongside Lando Norris in an aggressive restart. Unfortunately, has too much drag on the car, is not able to stay there, so has to tuck in again. And it's completely ruined his line now. He's taken a really bad line through the first chicane. He's having to go defensive from Hamilton. And already a gap of nearly a second has formed between Norris and Slothz as he come around the hairpin and head up the hill. Touch of oversteer again from the Radiant car. Hamilton on the attack. And here we go again. No DRS just yet, but Lewis Hamilton doesn't need it. He's closing the gap down to Radiant Slothz to within 3/10. Radiant Slothz comes around first chicane. Massive touch of oversteer there. Lewis Hamilton must take advantage of this. He's going to look down the inside of the second chicane. And it's no contest against the Mercedes for Radiant Slothz. He's back into 6th place. Pierre Gasly bearing down upon him. And that could be as good as it's going to get for Radiant Slothz. Let's go on board with Hamilton. Watch that touch of oversteer from Radiant Slothz there. Just tap on the curb on the inside of turn 3. And then sends it. Hamilton easily passed. He'll chase down Norris now. Maybe presents opportunities for Radiant Slothz if they are to be battling ahead of him. More oversteer there. Pierre Gasly dropped back to almost 3 seconds now. Hamilton going for the pass on Norris. Radiant Slothz does have DRS, but he has completed the move before they get down to turn 1, so they will not be slowing each other down too much, and I doubt the McLaren is going to be able to come back at Hamilton, given that it's still early days in the season. And no more changes. Looking down the order, we've got a mixed bag of point scorers for this race. Valtteri Bottas takes his first win of the season, and the Radiant Slothz once again crosses the line for a points finish here in Imola, on his second outing for his own Radiant Racing team. Of course, it is that time. Driver of the day goes to Charles Leclerc for presumably starting at the back and finishing ahead of quite a few more people. As for the first time in a long time, we see Toto Wolff celebrating. If you are a watcher of the co-op career, this was probably an unfamiliar sight for you, given the lack of Mercedes wins since season 1. Bottas won first co-op championship, and then Lewis Hamilton was severely nerfed and was not able to get back on the podium for most races, let alone win any races. There he is. Valtteri Bottas joined on the podium by 2 Red Bull drivers. That puts him in a good position in the drivers' standings now for an early good start to the season. Red Bull will of course be picking up a few more points. We'll see them in just a minute as well, where everyone is currently in the tables. Let's head over to the race results. And here are the race results. Of course, we know our podium already. It was Valtteri Bottas, Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez. They were followed by Lewis Hamilton, Lando Norris, Radiant Slothz, Pierre Gasly, Kimi Raikkonen, Esteban Ocon and Lance Stroll. So over in the Drivers' Championship, Valtteri Bottas closes up the gap to Max Verstappen, who still leads on 44 points. Then we have Sergio Perez, Lewis Hamilton and Lando Norris closely behind, as is Radiant Slothz. Charles Leclerc maintained 7th. He's now ahead of Pierre Gasly, Kimi Raikkonen and Carlos Sainz. Further down the order, we have Daniel Ricciardo, Esteban Ocon, Lance Stroll, Sebastian Vettel, Fernando Alonso, Yuki Tsunoda, George Russell, Guan Yu Zhou, Nicholas Latifi, Antonio Giovinazzi, and the 2 Hasses, Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin. So over in the Constructors, Red Bull maintain a 13-point lead over rivals Mercedes. Then we jump all the way back to McLaren, Radiant Racing and Ferrari in the battle for 3rd. Behind them, AlphaTauri, Alfa Romeo, Alpine and Aston Martin are the remaining point scorers, with Williams and Haas on 0. We'll catch you in the next one.